Quick question. What's the most successful conqueror in human history? A genius general? A terrifying empire? A guy on a horse with main character energy? No, it's a mosquito. A flying syringe with anxiety issues that helped decide which colonies lived, which armies collapsed, and who got to write the history books. Empires versus mosquito. When Europeans expanded into tropical regions, they brought guns, ships, and confidence. Nature brought malaria and yellow fever. And here's the twist. The biggest battles weren't fought with cannons. They were fought in people's blood. While leaders argued strategy, their troops argued, "Why is my body set to lava mode?" In a lot of colonization, the deciding factor wasn't firepower. It was who could survive the climate. The villains, the two diseases. Two major diseases shaped huge chunks of empire building. Malaria, spread by Anopheles mosquitoes. Yellow fever, spread mainly by Aedes aegypti. You don't need to memorize the Latin. Just remember the plot. Mosquito bites, fever, collapse. History changes direction. Why tropics were a cheat code for nature. In Europe, winters can slow down mosquitoes. In many tropical regions, mosquitoes don't get a winter break. They get a permanent full-time contract. So when new arrivals showed up without immunity, troops, sailors, administrators, they weren't just unprepared. They were basically walking into a casino where the house always wins, and the house has wings. So what happens when an empire meets a place where the air itself is a biohazard? West Africa was once nicknamed the white man's grave by Europeans, because foreign troops and settlers often died in shocking numbers from tropical diseases. That didn't mean Europeans never interfered there. They did. But it shaped how they did it. Trading posts, coastal forts, and limited inland penetration for long stretches. Because marching deep inland wasn't just hard, it was medically suicidal. The map of empire wasn't only drawn by politics, it was drawn by mosquito range. The Haitian Revolution, now for one of the wildest examples, Saint-Domingue, modern Haiti. France tried to crush the uprising there in the early 1800s and sent a massive force. But yellow fever and malaria devastated the troops. It wasn't the only reason France failed. Leadership, resistance, brutal conditions all mattered, but disease hit like an invisible army. Imagine planning a grand imperial comeback and getting defeated by a mosquito the size of a comma. And when one empire fails in one place, it changes decisions everywhere else. The domino effect. When disease made certain colonies harder to hold, it shifted global strategies, where empires invested, where they withdrew, and what they tried to control indirectly. This is the part people miss. Empires don't just expand because they want to. They expand where they can survive long enough to build systems. Guns can win a battle, but survival wins the long game. For centuries, people blamed bad air, curses, swamp vibes, honestly anything except the obvious flying needle. Then science started landing hits. Researchers confirmed mosquitoes transmit malaria and yellow fever. And once you know the enemy is a bug, you stop fighting the jungle and start fighting breeding sites. Drain stagnant water, screen windows, control larvae, protect workers. Suddenly, the deadly tropics weren't unbeatable. They were manageable at a cost. So humanity's greatest military upgrade, the mosquito net. A perfect modern-era example. The effort to build the Panama Canal. Early attempts were hammered by disease. Later efforts improved after mosquito control campaigns and better public health measures. That's not a fun side detail. That's the plot. Big infrastructure doesn't just require money and machines. It requires winning a war against tiny animals that think your blood is a subscription service. So if mosquitoes can block a canal project, what else can they block? So here's the point. Colonization wasn't only a story of technology and ambition, it was also biology. Mosquito-borne disease shaped where empires expanded, where they stalled, where they collapsed, and where local resistance had an extra ally: nature. Sometimes geopolitics is just which side has fewer fevers. The mosquito didn't just kill people. It shaped borders, economies, and the arrogance level of entire empires. Next time someone says history is made by great men, just whisper, also by insects. Next episode on History by Nature, the crop that rewired the world, how sugar turned into money, empire, and disaster. If you like history powered by nature, geography, and uncomfortable reality, subscribe.